Hi, this is Jason Fielder with the Daily Forex Report for August 13th. Looking at the US-Japanese pair, this pair closed up for this past session. I'm looking for this next session to be between a range of 110.03 and on the lower side 108.08. As far as resistance, looking for some resistance to come into the market at 109.80. And that's around this area. And as far as support, looking for support around the 109.20 area. And this is just where I believe we'll see some support and resistance, at least initially, come into the market. Now, had you tuned in yesterday, you probably saw the trade that I was taking a look at, this low, taking out this low, and then looking at a let me zoom in here, or zoom out. There we go. Looking at taking out this low and then looking for it to come on down to this point, about a 50 pip move, and looking at that, also looking at this high and at this high possibly. Well, what ended up happening is the market did retrace a little bit after doing the video. I put a sell order in the market at 109.10, which was a few pips below this low at that point. And then I put a take profit. Basically, my exit was at 108.57, which is this high, which was the highest high of these three. I wasn't sure if it would how far it would come on down, but I went ahead and put that, and I used a stop loss that was placed at 109.38. And I showed yesterday how I actually got to those got to that stop loss by dropping down time frames and looking at support and resistance levels. And as you can see, it just came on down during that session, actually touched the low at this point, at this high. So I was filled. It didn't retrace. It actually dropped pretty quick through that area that it had previously just moved up higher through. Just to kind of take a look at it, draw some lines, and then we can drop down time frame, kind of see how quick it went through that particular area. This was the high here that I used for an exit. Okay, let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame. Okay, it pretty much went through it fairly quick within 2 bars. Here's on the hour time frame. We have 3 bars, no retracement. 30-minute. Went through it pretty quick. Still no retracement on the 30-minute. It wasn't until we got to the 15-minute bar that we actually had a pullback here once we broke through that particular the particular sell order I had at 109.10, which was a little bit below this line. So you can see how it just pretty much went straight through, and how that came about was, you look back in time to that same area previously. Price just zipped from one area once it broke through some resistance straight up to another area where it created resistance and then a support at this point, and then continued higher. So that's just a way of taking 50 or so pips out of the market with minimal risk. So let's take a look at the Euro USD pair. This pair closed down today. It just by a little bit. I'm looking for this next session to be between 1.5014 and on the lower side 1.4802. I'm looking for a little bit of resistance to come into the market at 5,000, and on the lower side pretty much the same level, just a little bit higher at 1.4850. Now looking at the pound dollar pair, this pair just continues to drop. It went much lower. There's some support and resistance lines I was drawing earlier, looking at for this potential low to be taken out and where we should possibly put buy back if we sell short at that point. I'm looking for this next session to be between 190.71 and on the lower side 185.91. This high range is probably a little bit high for this particular pair at this time. This low may be a little bit too close as well. I'm looking for the resistance to come into the market around 1.8800 and looking for some support to come into the market just above our range trigger at 18600. Now switching over to the US Swiss, this particular pair I'm looking for the range to be between 1.0956 and on the lower side 1.0795. Pretty much looking for resistance to be at the same level, maybe a hair lower at 1.0920, and on the lower side looking for support at this same level. That pretty much does it for the four majors. I did notice looking at some of the other pairs, we have the Euro Australian dollar. It has a pretty good run through this point right here, and that's potential for, it went real high today, pulled back, closed lower. So I don't anticipate this pair moving higher through this next session. I anticipate it dropping. If we're going to sell, maybe 1.7015 might be a good level, and then look to buy back at around the 1.6955 level for about a 60 pip run there. That should go fairly quick. When you drop down to a lower time frame, it moves pretty quick. Now looking at what happened today, we had the U.S. advanced retail sales come out for July, and they were pretty much at expected levels, and so it really didn't influence the market too much. Had a little bit of whipsaw. Looking forward into tomorrow, the Eurozone has the German CPI. The consensus is that it should be about the same from last month and also year to date, and that's being released at 2 a.m. The Euro has their CPI being released, and the consensus is that it'll be down for July by 0.1% and year to date up by 0.1%. And that's being released at 5 a.m. The U.S. has their CPI for July being released at 8:30 a.m. And remember, all these are Eastern time. The consensus is that in July, the CPI increased by 0.4%, and year to date, we're looking at an increase of 0.2% as far as the projections go. Also, the New Zealand dollar has their retail sales for June being released at 6:45 p.m., and there's no particular consensus on that at this time. So until tomorrow, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.